Welcome to my messy art desk. I thought today I would do a quick review and swatching of Masha's watercolors. I shouldn't say that. I do have a nice selection of them. I was going to say I don't have a huge selection, but I have 12. That's quite a bit, actually. And I bought these about a month ago. I loved the sunflower on the front. This is the sunflower set. I don't know if she still has them. But it's the colors that are in here she does have. And it came in this incredible palette. It is so well made. I just can't even tell you. It's very simple, right? It's just wood with a photograph of the sunflower printed on top. And then it's held closed with really strong magnets, and it's got this beautiful ceramic dish that's glued into the lid. I mean, talk about convenient. It's really wonderful. And then there are 12 colors here. These are the colors that came with the set. I'm going to dump them out. Doesn't matter what order they go back in. They're really easy to take out. Whoop. That's the metal. That's the magnet from there. I was going to say they're really easy to take out. This one probably got wet. And got paint stuck in there. And you can refill them with whatever colors you want when you're done with these. I just think it's the loveliest little palette. It's really convenient. So I'm going to go through the names of the colors, write them down. And then I'm going to swatch them for you. So we'll start with the yellows. The first one is called Bright Yellow. Pretty simple, bright yellow. All right, and then we have Tiger Eye. And then we'll go with, this one is Flame. And again, this was the selection that came with the set, and I'm really happy with them. I would buy most of them again. This one's called Dragon's Blood. This one's called Shadow Snow. Deep Sea. Actually, I'm going to put this one there. Black Oxide Violet. Bright Blue. Actually, I'm going to move. Oh, it doesn't matter. I didn't know there was another blue. I forgot. Bright Blue. Serpent Green. Shadow Green Light. Sap Green. So 3 greens and 3 blues. Really nice. Perfect for sunflowers with a sunny sky behind it. And then Hematite Iron. So what I noticed, I've painted with these 3 or 4 times now. And what I've noticed about them is that they re-wet. They wet really easily. They pick up really easily, nicely on the brush. They're very creamy. They're very, very pigmented. So for me, I like to dilute them a little bit, and I'm going to use this palette here to do that. So they're very, very pigmented. You don't need a lot of paint. If you're someone like me who likes the watercolor paper to shine through, I don't like heavy paint application in my work. You need to use barely any paint, right? And you really should move it to a palette and add some water to it for sure. So let's see what happens here. All right, so the bright yellow, I'm just touching it with a wet brush. This hasn't been touched in 2 or 3 days. It wets immediately, all right? And this one should be okay just to paint directly. So it is a very clear, transparent yellow. I don't know the pigment number. I know she does have that available. Just drop a little bit more pigment on the right side and a little bit of water on the left side. This paint is very clear and transparent. I imagine it's staining, and it reminds me of transparent yellow from Winsor & Newton. That's what it reminds me of, or Azo yellow. So it's very strong. When it mutes out with some more more water, it becomes lemony. It's a really, really strong, intense yellow. This one, Tiger Eye, is also a yellow, but it has a strong brown undertone. All right. I'm going to drop a little bit more pigment over here, or paint, I should say. And then a little bit of water over here, just so we can see what happens when it's really wet and when water pushes into it and when it's really concentrated. But as these paints dry, they do some special things. Really, the bright yellow is the only one that doesn't. It's a pretty basic color and useful. But you can already see how there might be hematite or magnetite or something in this paint that's causing it to separate, create new colors, right? And a lot of sediment. Okay. The next one is Flame. This is a gorgeous red. I am not a big red person, as anyone who follows me knows, but this is like a gorgeous orange red. And I barely have to do any work at all to get these paints to jump onto my brush. But already, I mean, you can just see the color separation properties in these. They're just stunning. I mean, they're absolutely stunning. So we'll see what that looks like when it dries. The next one is Dragon's Blood, and Dragon's Blood is on the cooler side. So the Flame is a warmer orangey red. The Dragon's Blood is definitely a cooler red, and it is really pretty. I do not think it's the traditional Dragon's Blood pigment, because that one, if it is, that's usually really pale, and this one has some oomph to it, but really beautiful. All right, we'll see what happens to this one as it dries. Then we've got Shadow Snow, which might be my favorite. Well, they're all good. I really like this color. And at first, it just looks sort of like a cobalt turquoisey thing. Let's drop a little bit more up here. And by the way, this is a student grade watercolor paper. It's nothing fancy. Okay. Next is Deep Sea. It is a cooler, dark, like indigo. Really beautiful. Okay. This is the Black Oxide Violet. This is a really unusual color. It definitely has like a smoky violet tone, but has black oxide in it, so it's got incredible granulation going on as it dries. And then last of the blues is bright blue. So there really isn't a warm blue. This reminds me of a phthalo blue red shade. It's definitely not warm, but it's not as cool as phthalo blue green shade. So no warm blue, but a really nice variation of blues. I think beautiful. Put a little more water in that one. Okay, so we'll move on to the greens. And this is the Serpent Green. Okay, the greens are not, I would say, natural greens. They're fun greens. You can easily mute them with a little bit of red. Either the flame or the dragon's blood, you can make them warmer with a little bit of the bright yellow or the tiger's eye. There's lots of potential with these greens. They're beautiful greens. They're just not natural on their own. They're a little bit bright and intense. And this is sap green. I guess this one's the most natural of them. It's very pretty, but it's deep. And these work great for fun sunflowers, to paint fun sunflowers, just super, super fun. And then my last color is Hematite Iron. And this color, I mean, it's definitely got hematite in it, but it's got iron glimmer in it too. And it's really transparent for a hematite, which I love because most of the hematites I have are pretty opaque and thick. This one is fairly transparent. Like if I swatch it over the name down here, you can still see the name. And a regular hematite would cover that up, right? And it's got this loose bit of like burnt sienna vibe happening. It's very pretty. I can see this on old buildings, like for bricks, things like that. It'd be super cool. All right, I'm gonna let these dry and we'll come back and take a look. So these are mostly dry. There's a little bit of moistness on the edges, but you can see how intense they are, right? They're really, really intense. So for me, there's almost none of them that I would use at this intensity. I would water them down quite a bit, but they're beautiful. And I think it's this way with all of her colors, is that they just wet so easily. They pick up on the brush so easily. They're very creamy. And I know two people who have had them for a while, and they both said that they stay that way. They do not destroy your brushes. They behave very well. Again, this is cheapo watercolor paper, like cheap student grade. And I do that because if it looks decent on that, it's gonna look great on real watercolor paper too. So even better, I mean, way, way better. So these are pretty intense, really. The bright blue seems to me like phthalo blue red shade, and this seems like azo yellow, but the rest of them all have some special qualities to them and are definite mixes of pigments. So yeah, I just thought I would show them to you. In case you've been wondering about them, these may not be the colors that you're looking at, but at least you know they perform, and they're just super, super concentrated paint. The only one that's a little bit different for hematite, this is very transparent, which I kind of like because so many of my hematites are so thick and opaque that this is a nice change of pace. And I can see this dropped into tree bark, onto old bricks. Like if you're doing some urban sketching or something, that'd be a super easy way to make an old brick facade, things like that. And then these two, excuse me, I'm so sorry. These two both have some kind of hematite or magnetite in them to do that. But look how interesting that one is. Really cool. Really, really cool. So yeah, Masha's watercolors. I highly recommend them. And she is on Etsy. If you just go on Etsy and look for Masha's Watercolors, you will find her. She's got some beautiful sets, and she sells everything individually as well. And she's very generous with the dot cards. She sends you lots of samples to try. All right, everybody, that's it for today. Thanks so much for watching, and take care.